Johnny Silverhand, the infamous rocker boy and madman that's with you throughout the entirety of the Cyberpunk campaign. And even though his stats in Cyberware aren't all too impressive, we can actually min-max it with V's current capabilities. No, I will be talking about a couple of spoilers throughout the video, so just keep that in mind. Now, I will be giving you two build options. The first one is gonna be Johnny's current capabilities after he defected from the military. If you didn't know, Johnny was in the Second Central American War and sported some interesting cyberware, including a Sandevistan boost, among other things, and also, on top of his Malorian arms pistol, a heavy SMG, and an automatic shotgun. I'm going to try to match that up to the best of my ability. There's a million ways to build craft in this game, so not everything that I say is completely set in stone, but let's first start off with the Johnny of 2077. First up, starting with our gear. Again, you definitely want Johnny's outfit. You know, the replica of his jacket, his tank top, his aviators, his pants, and his shoes. I actually have this set to an outfit, so I can take advantage of a helmet without it actually showing up. And again, this helmet gives me plus 25 to my armor stat, so keep that in mind. You can earn pretty much all of his gear and put it on. If you want to know how to get it, definitely look up how to get it. I'm not going to explain how to get every single one of these pieces in this video. The next thing we're going to look at is the Malorian Arms 3516, which is Johnny's pistol, which can be obtained during the Chippin' In mission. And the one interesting thing about this one is that it gives a plus 150% headshot damage multiplier, which most pistols do to some degree, but it also gives plus 50% armor penetration, which not a lot of pistols give, even Iconics do. So it does have some solid, multipliers and stuff like that, but it doesn't have any other fancy perks like other Iconics. It can be very powerful when upgraded to tier 5++. Next, let's talk about how to distribute your attribute points and what perks to look for under all the skill trees. Note, I am level 60 and I have used up every single perk point that is available. For body, we maxed it out to level 20, and obviously the middle skill tree is all about health regen. You definitely want Painkiller with Comeback Kid, Speed Junkie, and Army of One. You don't need Door Fed since we aren't using the Blood Pump Cyberware. And again, you definitely want to max out all the way to Adrenaline Rush, not only just because of the bonuses, but you do get the bonus to max health when using your health items with this. And again, I am using Unstoppable Force. I do like this one because when you have adrenaline, you gain immunity to knockdown and blinding. With Juggernaut, you get increased movement, speed, and damage. Then also Calm Mind delays when adrenaline actually starts decaying, which is really good. And then Pain to Gain, so when Adrenaline Rush is active, you get plus 20% health item recharge after neutralizing an enemy, so that means you can have your health items even faster. Now on the right side, this is a focus on blunt weapons. And you're like, David, we didn't really talk about blunt weapons when we went over the inventory, but it's just we can't take advantage of Johnny's, robotic arm, his silver hand, duh. We're going to be using the Gorilla Arm Cyberware. It's the closest thing to it. And what's really cool is that Gorilla Arms can actually take advantage of these blunt weapon perks over here. So I definitely recommend getting Wrecking Ball here. Like, again, being able to barrel into enemies is hilarious in and of itself. Unlocking Quake is, like I said, hilarious in and of itself, jumping in the air and slamming down. But the main thing here is the finisher for blunt weapons. Basically, when an enemy is weak, you can actually pick them up and throw them, which is hilarious to do. And you can also get Aftershock, and with Calm Mind over here, it actually meets in the middle for a Ripple Effect. But honestly, if you did want to get rid of Ripple Effect and Aftershock, you can put on some other perks over here. It doesn't really matter. You definitely just want to max out at least getting to the top. On our reflexes, we put it at 18 out of 20 here, and obviously the middle tree here is a heavy focus on movement tech. You can honestly use what you want here if you want to get rid of some of these or max it out like I did here, but the main thing is getting all the way up to air dash here so you can dash in midair. Yes, Johnny can't really do that, but being able to have something this broken on this build is going to be pretty good. For technical ability, we maxed it out to 20. With the middle tree here, this is all about Cyberware bonuses, so you definitely want to get all things Cyber maxed out here to gain extra stat modifiers, reduce, Cyberware capacity, cost, definitely put on Chrome Constitution, Renaissance Punk, Lucky Day for more crafting components, and then also Driver Update. Whenever you go to upgrade your Cyberware, you can always take off Lucky Day and put on Chip Connoisseur, so you get those extra modifiers when you're upgrading your Cyberware stats. So anything tier 3 and higher basically gives you more options when upgrading, so you definitely want to put that on. But it does save you a perk point if you don't have this on. Again, it doesn't matter if you want to put it on, totally up to you. Definitely want License to Chrome so you can get that extra Cyberware slot for the skeleton, and then Ambidextrous so you get the extra Cyberware slot for your hands. Definitely want Cyborg, and then also Extended Warranty. We don't need Built Different since we aren't taking advantage of Cellular Adapter, but I would recommend Edge Runner, as you can tell. David Martinez up here, which allows you to exceed your Cyberware capacity by up to 50 points at the cost of minus 0.5% max health per point. it also has a chance to drop you in the Fury state, you know, like mild cyber psychosis. You do get bonus damage, crit chance, and crit damage, which is very nice. And as you can see, we have the left skill tree kind of filled out here, mainly because this gives us bonuses to our health items and our grenades. Again, I have Glutton for War with Transfusion and First Aid. Then I also have Health Freak here, giving us an extra health item charge, have that maxed out. We also have Coming in Hot, Borrowed Time, Field Medic, and Demolition Surplus. This gives us an extra grenade charge, which is good, but these bonuses are just basically allow us to use and get our grenade and health items back faster. And then Pyromania, this is the big one here. So once we max this out, we get +5 movement speed, +10 explosion damage for 12 seconds after hitting an enemy with an explosion in combat. If you take damage from the explosion, the effect adds 2 stacks instead of 1, and you can stack the effect 5 times. Then with something like Heat Shield, you get increased mitigation chance per stack. Burn the City, basically when you accumulate 5 stacks, they all can be consumed to replenish a grenade charge, which is nice. And then also Friendly or Fire, you gain increased resistance to your own grenades. And goodness sakes, man, there are so many grenades in this game. I'm just using Ozob's Nose. This is an iconic grenade that you can craft, but if you don't have access to it, I would just recommend putting on the regular grenade. Note, all these grenades can be upgraded to even higher specs. As you can see, this is tier 5+. When you start out, it's like tier 1. The stats are not that great, but you can use the regular grenade, incendiary, you know, the gash anti-personal. I wouldn't recommend the flash, smoke, or recon since you can't take advantage of Pyromania with those. Something that causes an explosion is going to be the best here. And while we're here for health items, I just go with the max stock MK5 for the instant boost to a lot of health. You can use the bounce back, so you do get the instant, you know, little bit of health, and then also regenerates health, you know, over time. But I personally like having the big one, especially if there are a lot of enemies around or if you're dealing with max stack. For cool, we maxed out to level 20 so we could take advantage of all of the perks on the left skill tree, which is about pistols, revolvers, precision rifles, and snipers. You know, mainly pistols for this one. You definitely want focus, so when it's active, you don't consume any stamina while shooting for a short duration. Definitely put on No Sweat, Rinse and Reload, head-to-head, and then also Deep Breath. This one's interesting, so it slows time by 25% for you and your enemies when focus is active. So right when you aim down sight, you get slowed down time. Since we can't really take advantage of the Sandy with this first build, this can help us out with, you know, accuracy and stuff like that, being able to take our time a little bit. Definitely want to max out Deadeye here. You know, as long as you have more than 85% stamina, which if you're going to be using focus and it's locked anyway, you're pretty much locked in, so you get increased headshot damage, weak spot damage, and no bullet spread. That's the big one here. Definitely put on California Reaper with High Noon, Quick Draw, and Long Shot, basically giving you bonuses to the Deadeye and reload speed and stamina bonus. You definitely want all these perks here. And then for the Legend perk at the top, you want Run and Gun. It's not absolutely necessary, but I do like it for Johnny's build in particular, because if you're going to be running around pretty fast, you definitely want to just be able to hit fire and not consume stamina. And when focus is active, you get increased movement speed as well. For intelligence, we left it at 3 because Johnny is definitely not a net runner. For those of you who have Phantom Liberty and can take advantage of the Relic skill tree, there's only a couple of perks here that I would recommend for both of the builds, but mainly you want Vulnerability Analytics so you can shoot vulnerabilities on enemies. Again, it's 100% crit chance, plus 25% armor penetration and weak spot damage bonuses, and once a vulnerability is destroyed, it actually explodes into an EMP blast, which can damage enemies around it. And then you also want machine learning with this, so whenever you destroy a vulnerability, it increases the chance for new vulnerabilities to pop up, and you get increased crit damage against those vulnerabilities, and this can stack up to 5 times, which is absolutely nuts. The second thing would be Jailbreak. Jailbreak gives you bonuses to your armed Cyberware, and with the Gorilla Arms, it basically just makes them even stronger and allows you to charge them up to cause a Shockwave. And then Limiter Removal, which is the specific one for Gorilla Arms up here. The Shockwave from a charged Gorilla Arms attack now knocks down all enemies within the range. Next, let's talk about what cyber we're going to use. And the main thing with this first build, you know, with base Johnny, is being able to use the Chrome Compressor Cyberware. This thing costs 0 and gives us a bonus to our cyber capacity. You know, versus using something like a Sandevistan, a Berserk, or a Cyber Deck, we get this bonus capacity, which means we can use other iconic cyberware throughout the rest of the slots. Now, with all the other cyberware, some of the stuff can be changed around, but this setup is what I like and found effective. So starting with the frontal cortex here, I'm going to be using Self-Eye so I can negate an enemy quick hack. This is good, especially against net runners that end up hitting you with something. It basically just shuts it right down, which is nice. I do like Mechatronic Core, so I get that increased damage to robots, you know, drones, mechs, and turrets. And then I just put on Newton Module just to fill in the slot here to take advantage of, you know, some of the technical ability perks. But with all these other ones, you know, the Koreznikov boost, we're not going to be using Koreznikov. Most of these others deal with having you know, a cyber deck and whatnot. Then with the axolotl giving a cooldown to Cyberware, same thing with Quantum Tuner. You know, when one Cyberware is used up, it basically cools down the other one. You don't really need these, considering most of the Cyberware we're using isn't a cooldown. It just has a lot of passive buffs. For our arms, like I mentioned, we are going to be using the Gorilla arms, but under the skeleton, personally, I like bionic joints for the bonus to armor and very low cost on the Cyberware. With epimorphic skeleton, we do get an increased percentage to our max health. And then lastly, I do like Parabellum for the percentage bonus to our armor. As you can tell, 1336 out of 1500 is pretty high. If you did want to switch Parabellum out for its iconic version, the Rara Avis, which gives a plus 37% to your armor, you could totally do so. Under the nervous system here, we're going to be taking advantage of Neo Fiber, which gives us an increased mitigation chance and increase to our mitigation strength. Allows us to basically, you know, take reduced damage, which is going to be very nice. I do like the iconic version of the Adrenaline Converter, the Adreno Trigger. So it gives a plus 30% movement speed for 60 seconds when entering combat. So if you're in a combat situation that's going to last a very long time, basically having that increase in movement speed can potentially help you out. Then I do like the iconic version of the Visual Cortex support, which is the Deep Failed Visual Interface. Crit chance increases the farther you are from the enemy, max at 92%, crit chance at 95 meters. Basically, if we're going to be using the pistol from a solid distance, and even, you know, I would say even close up, maybe not too close, but basically it's free crit chance at any distance. Under the Integumentary system, first up, subdermal armor. You know, very low cost on the Cyberware and gives us a solid boost to our armor stat. I do like Pain Editor because we do get a minus percentage for all incoming damage. And then lastly, the iconic Chitin. So on top of it having, you know, a lot of armor, it does cost a lot on the Cyberware, but it is extremely durable and provides additional health regen benefits. Under our optics, I personally like using the Kuroshi Cockatrice optics. It gives us an increase to our crit chance by 35%. You know, all these other ones, you know, being able to like highlight enemies, cameras, and turrets aren't really Johnny style. Basically, improving our weapon stat is going to be solid enough here. On our hands here, obviously, I had to go with the Johnny and V tattoo. If you didn't want to go with the Johnny and V tattoo, that's totally fine. You could put on Shock Absorber, which reduces recoil for your weapons. And then I also like using the iconic Immovable Force, which is a reduction to recoil and bullet spread. It basically automatically activates whether you're behind cover or not, which is really good. But, you know, I'm already going to have solid recoil anyway. Might as well use Johnny's tattoo. You know what I'm saying? Under the circulatory system, I do like having the biomonitor. So when I get under 35% health, I automatically heal myself with my health item, so I don't have to go through the whole rigmarole of using it myself. Again, it's not a huge deal, but if you're in a very high combat situation and you get weak very fast, having it automatically heal you is going to be very good. Next, I like clutch padding, so I get the stamina cost reduction for shooting my weapons. And then lastly, heal on kill. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically getting the health back when you neutralize an enemy is going to be pretty solid. And lastly, for the legs, I'm going to be using the Leroy ligament system. These are iconic. It's basically just a straight bump to your movement speed, which is very good. Since canonically, Johnny doesn't really have like any other jump, I guess this is the most fitting. But if you did want to use reinforced tendons for the double jump, you can definitely do so. Now that we got the first build out of the way, let's talk about a build centered around Johnny's time in the military. Now the wiki mentions that Johnny used his Malorian Arms pistol on top of a heavy SMG and a fully auto shotgun that cannot be obtained in the game. So these are some weapons that I found that are the closest to what those could be at the time. In regards to an Arasaka SMG, I personally like the Prototype Shingen Mark V. This is a smart SMG. It does have a regular version, but the reason I like the Prototype is because it has a plus 30% burn chance and fires explosive rounds. The modified automatic targeting system guides bullets to up to 3 targets while aiming, perfect for when you're outnumbered. I figured with the burn chance and the explosive rounds, this fits Johnny's personality perfectly. The tough part with shotguns is that there isn't an Arasaka manufactured shotgun in the game, but I personally like the iconic Alibi. This is from Phantom Liberty, so keep that in mind. It is part of a special Tectonica weapon series that was banned due to humanitarian concerns. Grants a chance to inflict a unique burn on the enemy. Shooting an enemy affected by this burn always deals crit damage. The more enemies simultaneously affected by the burn, the more crit damage you deal, but at the cost of accuracy. I figure this fits in with Johnny's personality perfectly as well. If you didn't want to use that shotgun, there actually is another one called the Deserter, which is a powered double barrel shotgun. And again, it does fire explosive rounds as well. This shotgun's extreme firepower pulverizes everything in its path, neutralizing an enemy, engulfs you in flames, except when your health is low, granting a movement speed boost and increased mitigation chance. So basically you hurt yourself for a bonus to movement speed and chance to take less damage. And again, fitting with Johnny's personality as well. If you don't have Phantom Liberty, don't fret. Honestly, any shotgun will work. There are plenty of other iconic shotguns in the game, and even just regular base shotguns that are semi-auto that can shoot pretty fast. Now let's go over our attributes and perk points again. Now, to be honest, the split is the same. Underbody, I still have 20, and I still have a heavy focus here on the middle skill tree for health regen. But on the left side, we have a focus on shotguns. You definitely want die, die, die. As you can tell, that is Rebecca, R.I.P. I'm also using Like a Feather, Don't Stop Me Now, with Bullet Ballet, on top of Spontaneous Obliteration, which Obliterate is nuts. It's the ability to sometimes instantly kill and dismember enemies at low health. The chance increases as enemy health decreases, max 20% Obliterate chance. I'm also using Close Quarters Carnage, with Skull Cracker, Dread, and then Rush of Blood. And then this also connects with Juggernaut here for Bloodlust, so when Adrenaline Rush is active, I get plus 50 Adrenaline on dismemberment of a nearby enemy, which is absolutely nuts, getting free bonus adrenaline. Then I'm also using Rip and Tear, which is only for shotguns here, but pretty much allows you to have increased damage for your next quick melee attack after shooting an enemy with the shotgun, and vice versa, increased shotgun shot damage after hitting an enemy with a quick melee attack. For reflexes, we still have it at 18 with a lot of the perks in the middle tree for all the movement text still filled out here. I did get rid of the increased slide distance as I'm not really going to take advantage of that. But on the left side, we have bonuses to assault rifles and SMGs. You definitely want to max out Ready, Rested, and Reloaded. Then put on Tunnel Vision, Spice of Life, and then Mind Over Matter. Basically increases to, reduce recoil, reload speed, more range and accuracy, swap speed, stuff like that. Definitely want to max out Sharpshooter here so you get increased stamina regen, which is very nice. This does stack as well. Also, Shoot to Chill, Spray and Play, and then Practice Makes Perfect. You don't really need Gun Dancer for the increased movement speed since we have a lot of Cyberware and, increased movement speed through dashes and air dashes as well. Plus, you don't really need Air Krasnikov since we aren't using the Krasnikov Cyberware. Under technical ability, we still have it 20, and I have the middle tree still maxed out here, but I got rid of everything on the left side to focus on weapon damage. Grenades are still going to be good here. You just don't necessarily have to use, Ozob's Nose. If you want to use the smoke, the flashbang, the recon grenade, anything that you wanted, you totally can. Under cool, we still have it level 20, and I still have all the perks here unlocked except for Deep Breath for the slowdown time since we are going to be taking advantage of a Sandevistan. For intelligence, we still left at 3, and for the relic skill tree, like I mentioned, definitely focus on vulnerability analytics and machine learning, and then jailbreak and limiter removal. Now let's go over Cyberware. Obviously in the wiki it says Sandevistan boost, which at the time a Sandevistan probably did not give as many bonuses as you can get nowadays, but I personally would recommend either the Militech Falcon Sandevistan or the Militech Apogee. These are both iconics. They do take up a lot for, your Cyberware slots, but these slow down time by 70%, and this one's by 85%, and just gives bonuses to your damage, crit damage, and crit chance. With the Militech Falcon, it extends the duration by 10% with a plus 5% to your health, and then with the Apogee, it's plus 20% extended duration, and then plus 22 stamina. But the reason I'm using the Militech Falcon is because under the frontal cortex, I'm taking advantage of the iconic version of the Newton module, the Axolotl, which I have this maxed out, so it's a minus 12.5% cooldown instantly for all Cyberware after neutralizing an enemy. I just need to kill 9 enemies, and I get my Sandevistan back right up to max, which is very good. And then the other ones I'm using is Mechatronic Core and Self-Ice again. Most of the other Cyberware is kind of the same across the board. For the arms, I'm still using the Gorilla Arm Cyberware. For the skeleton, I'm still using Bionic Joints with Epimorphic Skeleton in the Parabellum. For the nervous system, I am still using Neofiber, but opted to take the iconics off for the regular versions, Adrenaline Converter and then Visual Cortex Support. I do get the increased movement speed, just for not as long, and I still get the increased crit chance, just not as a far of a distance like the Deep Field Visual Interface. Under the integumentary system, I still would recommend the Subdermal Armor and Paint Editor, but for your last one, you can either go with Range Guard, which gives you increased armor when there's no enemies around you, Proxy Shield, so when enemies are close to you, you get a reduced to your incoming damage. You could do Chitin if you still have the room, but it does cost a lot. Could do Carapace here as well, which increases armor effectiveness when you're attacked from the side or the rear. There are a couple of options here, but personally, I would recommend the Subdermal Armor and Paint Editor. For a face, I'm going to be taking advantage of the Oracle Optic, so I can highlight enemies, even ones that are behind cover. I can also highlight cameras, turrets, and explosives, plus traps with just the Cyberware. This is why the Cyberware is so good. Basically highlights everything around you, which is very nice. Under our hands here, I am taking advantage of the shock absorber again, but I decided to go with the smart link for the smart weapon. Again, the weapon I am using, the Arasaka SMG, is a smart weapon. I don't necessarily have to use smart link, but with this, I get an increased target lock-on duration and an increase to my crit damage when this is maxed out. So having the smart link, I think, is a good idea here. For a circulatory system, I am still using the biomonitor, clutch padding, and heal on kill. And then lastly for legs, still using the Leroy ligament system, but like I said, you can use reinforced tendons or any of these other ones if you would like. But that, ladies and gentlemen, are both of my Johnny Silverhand builds. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You know, personally, I think both builds have something going for them. You know, the first build, a heavy focus on pistols with explosives and health items, and the second one, a focus on other weapons, including SMG and shotgun, plus very fast cooldown for your cyberware, including the Sandevistan. I think both have their benefits. And like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this isn't set in stone. You can definitely switch some of this stuff out. If there's something that you like using in particular for either one of these builds, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm testing stuff out in this game all the time for build videos in the future. In any event, if what you saw was valuable or entertaining to you, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then turn the bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on any other build videos here on the channel. If you didn't know, we do live stream here on YouTube on the channel 3 days a week, mostly in the evenings. Again, I mainly play Destiny 2 and Cyberpunk, so if you do want to hop in the stream and hang out, please do so. And if we are running Destiny 2 and we're doing activities together like PvE, PvP, you know, raid carries, dungeon carries, anything like that, again, you can always hop in my Discord. That link will also be in the description. Again, people are looking to play games together, talk about games, you know, PC tech, anime, and more. Lastly, if you want to support the channel even more, you can look into becoming a member. If you don't know what a membership is essentially like a Twitch subscription. Again, you're going to get access to the exclusive emotes, the monthly badges, and other cool stuff here on the channel for cheaper than what is a Twitch subscription, hilariously enough. My tier 1 is cheaper than a regular tier 1 thing on Twitch. But if you would like more information, all you have to do is press the join button next subscribe, and I'll give you a rundown with all the details you need. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been your boy. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.
He's dead!